Well, in our top story, Libya has deported scores of Malian refugees as it grapples with curbing illegal migration across its borders. The Libyan government, with the help of the International Organization for Migration, has sent home more than 150 Malian migrants due to overcrowding at detention centers. Caught in a conflict between two rival governments and various armed factions, Libya has become a major route for human traffickers who are taking advantage of the chaos to transport people from the North African coastline to Europe. Authorities say plans are ongoing to deport more migrants.
We have deported 157 migrants of Malian nationality through Maitiga airport. More will follow.
Well, let's get to more details now from Yasser Hakim, who joins us live from Cairo, and Kevin Osbeck. He's standing by for us in Brussels. Yasser, let's start with you. Firstly, just tell us a bit more about this operation to deport illegal migrants by Libyan authorities.
Well, it's been increasing during 2016. Just a couple of days ago, another 200 migrants, illegal migrants from Nigeria, have been also deported. Throughout the year, we're talking about 5,000 approximately, and there are detention centers in Libya to host these migrants until they're deported. And they're so full, they're not able to sustain the expenses and food and water and shelter to these illegal migrants until they're deported. That's why the government is trying to increase the process and to increase the number of deportations, because obviously, like you said, the security situation in Libya is very dire, and therefore the numbers are increasing. All through 2016, the numbers have increased by 48%. The number of migrants trying to go through Africa and Libya to Europe has increased by 48% compared to 2015. So it needs even more efforts to try to curb the situation.
Kevin, let's bring you in here now. Of course, we know that the European Union itself has a vested interest in trying to stem the flow of migrants into Europe from Africa. Do you see its hand in these Libyan deportations?
Well, Europe absolutely is worried about this and watching this closely, and that's because this has been another record-setting year when it comes to illegal migrants arriving in Europe. Italy alone has seen about 185,000 migrants reach its coast so far this year, but the EU approach is much different. The EU is trying to funnel massive amounts of money all across Africa to boost regional economies there. The thinking of the EU is as soon as we get these African economies up and running and really producing good quality jobs, there won't be such an incentive for thousands of young people, mostly young people, to try to make that dangerous journey to Libya and then the even more dangerous journey across the Mediterranean to Italy. So that's really the EU philosophy here. In fact, just about a week or so ago, the EU announced another roughly 40 million US dollars to North African countries, including Libya, to try to improve conditions for people, for migrants there, also to try to boost those economies so people don't want to leave, and also to try to boost legal protection of potential migrants there also, so they do have some sort of protection. So really there's a different approach from the EU here. They want to boost economies, they want to send a lot of money into Africa. They've been sending a lot of money in Africa there. That's how they view as the best solution to this problem.
Now, of course, Yasser, as you mentioned a little earlier, Libya has experienced many security challenges, mainly because of a leadership vacuum that's existed in the country since 2011, and that perhaps has allowed a lot of this migration to pass through Libya. But at this point, do you see evidence, when you look at these deportations taking place, when you look at investment coming from the EU, is there evidence that authorities there are finally getting a grip on security affairs in Libya?
No, let's not get carried away. These deportations, we're talking about hundreds, let's say 5,000 from Libya. Like Kevin has said, Europe has received, Italy has received over 185,000. And the two main Libya is the main route from North Africa, Egypt, but at a much smaller rate. There's also hundreds who travel from Egypt illegally. But so there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of efforts, whether economically or security-wise. Operation Sophia, launched by the EU, was a good proposal there, was a good move. Egypt has said that it is dispatching Navy ships in the Mediterranean to also work with the EU on stopping the smuggling and trafficking of illegal migrants. And Libya itself is trying its best with the sources it has at this point, putting in mind all the divisions and political chaos in Libya. So it will take time, and it will need more efforts from all the countries that are affected by the migration, and with the hopes that maybe 2017 will be much better. But the signs are still not so optimistic.
And looking forward to 2017, Kevin, let's come to you for a moment. Of course, migration is a very serious issue for Europe, and deportations are somewhat a sensitive issue between Europe and Africa. But how do we expect what's happened over the past year or two to impact European policies, especially on relations with African nations in the coming year and going forward?
Well, I think one thing we can definitely expect in the new year is the EU trying to broker more money for migrant deals. A few months ago, the EU brokered a deal with Niger that essentially it works by Niger is going to get 635 roughly million US dollars in exchange for Niger trying to use that money to boost its economy, to boost particular industries, to increase its migratory institutions there, its border surveillance as well. The EU hopes it can kind of take that deal and use that as a model for making deals with other countries, both in Africa as well as outside of Africa as well. The EU is trying to broker somewhat of a similar deal like that with Afghanistan as well. A lot of this is coming off of the success of the EU-Turkey deal, which because of that deal and all the money it's sending to Turkey, the number of refugees coming from Turkey into Greece has slowed to just a trickle. So the EU would also like to see that happen with the Mediterranean migration route because this has been such a deadly year along that migration route. Roughly some 500 refugees and economic migrants have died there. The EU says it's a humanitarian disaster. It has to do what it can to stop that. So stopping that flow of migration, giving these people in these poor African countries a better life is what they think they can do to try to solve the problem.
All right, we'll leave it there, but thanks very much to Kevin Osbeck live for us there in Brussels, and Yasser Hakim in Cairo on those latest deportations from Libya.